Hey y'all, can you hear me? Sweet. Question. Can you guys see me? Your head's cut off. Okay. I'm trying my little thing that's supposed to hold my phone up broke. So we're makeshifting. Bear with me for a minute. Let's see. Can you all see me now? Head not cut off. Sweet. We'll just wait for everybody to join. Oh, that's totally fine. I just thought she was sleeping in the corner. Gotcha.
If I'm like holding stuff too, just let me know.
Oh, you're good. We're gonna start our thing here in like 5 minutes.
Okay. And I'll just try to speak out and be quiet when I'm done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
see here. You guys can like feel free to unmute yourselves like to chit chat and stuff, or if you have questions, because I feel like questions are always better asked when they're on your mind. Then if you like try to save them till the end or something like that.
Awesome.
Of course, right as I said that, my dog started like playing loudly with a bone on the concrete.
That's how, okay, I have a husky, and if he howls, you'll know.
Oh.
Sweet. In here. I'm wondering if it's
We'll
this
give
one.
everybody a few minutes to get on. And then we'll probably start like at like 5 after.
No worries.
And today's just been also kind of a day. So if like you chat something and I don't see it or something like that, I've asked Lexi, who runs our ambassador team, to chime in and yell at me. So like do that too.
Mm. Oh, you're so funny.
What's everybody drinking?
It's Monday. It's water night.
I don't subscribe to that, so I've got some 14 hands bubbly.
Nice.
Here for that. Today was like a rough day. My car broke down, so I needed something a little harder than wine. So my wine looks like a little bit more clear and like whiskey colored for some reason.
Oh. It is a holiday week, I guess. You know.
Yeah.
Right. Got some jams going in the background, but you guys can all still hear me fine with the music in the background and everything, right? It's not like distracting.
I can't even hear the music in the background.
Me neither.
Perfect. Even better. Even better. I'm just hanging out behind the camera to make sure I can like let everybody in as they join, since it's a meeting and not like a conference. But come up here front. There's Lexi.
Yeah, you done?
Mhm.
Do you have a bone? Are you jazzed? This is my really cute little adventure dog.
Hey,
She's
Hannah.
definitely not big like your husky.
Aw.
She's always at the shop. That's where we're doing this. So it's the shop space down in Reno. She likes to hang out. Me and Sasha.
Huh?
There's nothing better than whiskey, skis, and dogs.
Well, we gotta have the IPA in there somewhere.
Oh yes, IPA, wine. I mean, honestly, your choice of beverage. Like if you're sober, good for you. Like I'm envious of your willpower.
Especially this year.
Right.
Right? I mean, dude, like I'm 23. I am too young to have these many problems. Life is supposed to be easy right now. Oh well.
Where are you doing this from, Jennifer? Is that your name, Jennifer?
My name's actually Hannah. I had to
Okay.
log into Jen's account to run this.
Okay.
This is actually, we're just at the shop, Coalition's shop space in Reno, Nevada.
Nice.
So yeah, I work here all the time. I'll do a more formal introduction, but I've worked for Coalition for like a couple of years now. Worked in our truckie shop last year. I handle most of your customer service emails, and I help run demos. I like, you know, we're a small team, so it's like a little bit of everything. But I'm the only one working in the shop this winter for the most part, unless I can't be here. Lexi, what's wrong with it? Besides the fact that you can see my laptop, but it kept falling over, so I just was like gonna commit to like letting the laptop live there. I thought maybe it was edgy.
You can do better.
Okay, I'm trying.
There you
Okay,
go.
is that better?
Way
But can
better.
you see? But can you see my head?
Yes, you're fine.
Sweet.
Way better.
Well, that's good. I definitely just thought you weren't gonna be able to see my face. I told everybody I'd give them until 5:35 because I have to sit here and like add people in.
How many people RSVP'd?
35.
Wow.
I think RSVP'd. Already a few people said that they weren't gonna come. So
I see
you know.
Scarlett.
But oh wow. I think you say your name Mia. I like your little picture of the dog with the headset and the ThinkPad laptop. That's very cute.
Thank you. It's actually
I was scrolling through everybody's photos and I was like, oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah. If you can't see my face, I can at least give you a dog.
Oh wow. That's the greatest gift you could give us. Thank you for that. Cool. Well, people's time is ticking. They've got like 60 seconds before I'm going to walk away and stop looking at my phone. I'll pause to make sure no one's like waiting for extended periods of time in the waiting room. But, you know, it started at 5:30.
Is that a strap on I see?
Is that a what?
A strap on?
Yeah, it is.
And now here I'm looking, I'm like, wait a minute, where? It's like,
I know
where-
exactly.
I have a funny / embarrassing story since you guys already met my dog about my dog. My dog is a girl dog. and she hangs out at the shop, like I said. And she usually gets along with other dogs totally fine. I have multiple dogs in my house. Just like never had anything weird go on. And someone came into the shop last week with another female dog, and my dog tried to mount her, and I was super embarrassed because I was like, no, stop doing that. And she saw that we have these ski straps that said strap on. And the woman was like, oh, it looks like you guys could just grab a little strap on and they could go after it. And I was so embarrassed and pink in the face, but it was very funny. So 2 girl dogs going after it in the shop. Sweet. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say that we should just get started since it's now been that time. So I'm gonna hop on up to where you guys can actually see me. Hello, my name is Hannah Spendlove. I did introduce myself in the clubhouse a couple weeks ago, but in case you weren't here earlier when I was saying who I am, or you haven't seen that, like I said, my name is Hannah. I work for Coalition Snow. I manage a lot of the customer service kind of stuff. I do a lot of the shipping for you guys. I work in the shop. I help run demos, and I do a lot of different things. I'm a skier. These are my skis. But you know, like I love skiers and snowboarders. There's no hard feelings there. And when I'm not working for Coalition, I do a lot of mountain biking, and I'm race enduro for mountain bikes. So that's like a little bit about me. Why I'm the one giving this waxing clinic is just because I really love being geeky about my gear. And I've been to a lot of waxing clinics in my time. I've been to women-specific waxing clinics, but I always had a clinic given by a man, even when it was a women's only clinic, which was super interesting. So I'm kind of jazzed to share with you guys this evening.
I will just say as, hi, I'm Janelle. And I told my husband I was doing this, and he was like, kind of like scoffed. He's like, good luck. He's like, there's more to it. And I was like, let me just show you, buddy. So I'm so thankful for this.
I was chatting with a friend, and waxing is like super simple. But there's also some things that you can do to like level up your waxing. It can be really complicated, or it can be really simple. It's kind of what you make of it. I think that, not to group all men together, but in my experience, a lot of the clinics I've been to with men is that they teach you a lot of stuff that like, honestly, like even if you're pretty good at waxing, like I wouldn't do to my own skis. I just like, if you need serious edge work done or something like that, like why is it wrong to pay a professional to do that? Especially when you put so much money into your skis and snowboards. Doing it from home is like you don't always have the nicest technology and stuff, but like giving them a wax to take care of them so you can take them out on the slopes and make sure that they're quick and making sure that your edges aren't like super bonked. That you can definitely do. And you should feel empowered to do so. So we'll just talk about, I guess, some of the stuff that I have in front of me. I have a little bit more of an intense wax kit or tuning kit, but I've got the basics that we said you needed. So something to set your skis on. I have like a standard like 2 vise setup. I don't have a middle clamp for my ski. I just kind of wrestle with the ski and call it good. You can get some that like clamp your binding and hold it in the center, which are really nice. But it's extra stuff to carry around with you. The other thing that's really nice to have if you're a skier anyways, is just some thick rubber bands. You can buy the ones that are made specifically for it, or there are just like, you know, if you eat your broccoli and you buy big florets of it, like the produce rubber bands usually do the trick too. Just pull the brakes out of the way. If you have a touring setup, just put them in touring mode, and then you don't need to worry about pulling the brakes out of the way. So I've got my ski. This is my personal Coalition Snow Abyss ski that I'm going to be waxing for you guys. And then EcoWax was really nice to actually donate a tuning kit for us to do this tonight. I used their wax in my own personal kit. But so everything I'm going to use for the most part, you can find in a kit that they sell. We're going to use their all-temp wax, their plastic scraper, and then their iron. And so once you have all that out, we can kind of get into it. Does anybody have any questions thus far? No questions? If you comment them, I can't see them. So unmute yourself and speak up.
Hey, Hannah, is there music in your background?
Yes, there is. Is it too loud?
A little bit.
Okay. Un moment. Before everybody was on, I felt like it was awkwardly quiet, so I was trying to like drown out the silence. So something that is not required, but if you wanted to like level up your tuning kit, that I like to have is a gummy stone. Before I like wax my skis or really get into anything that I'm doing, I will look for like little bits of rust and stuff on your edges, and then a gummy stone, like there's no real good technique to it. You literally just like push it on the edge and rub, and it will pull off rust, burrs, like any kind of like inconsistencies on the edge. And it's not going to strip away a bunch of edge material. So it's not something that you have to have like a really good file guide or anything for. You can just do like run a gummy stone along your edges, make sure there's no burrs. So it's just like a nice little bonus thing to add, and they're usually pretty cheap. So that's something I like to have. Of
I'm
course,
going to ask a really obvious question, but the gummy stone, is that like a, like it's almost like foam, it's super light, and is that what it is?
It is, it has like kind of even almost even a quirky material. It depends. They have like different hardnesses, but like, yeah, it's kind of like a soft, like almost like an eraser, like a really firm
I think
eraser.
I have it. Is this thing?
Here, I'm gonna sneak
Oh, no,
around.
stay there. No worries. No,
Oh, good.
stay there.
But so that's like something additional. And, you know, like rust, if you're gonna ski your ski tomorrow, will literally just come off when you ski it. But if you're about to store your skis or something and there's lots of rust on the edges, it is good to just clean it off, because it just gives your edges and your skis more life.
Can I ask another question? A question girl over here. How often should we do them? Like after X amount of runs, or like early season when it's not like you might be going over stuff? Like how often should we do this?
That really depends on like, I guess, how much you ski. I usually tune my skis when they start feeling slow, or wax them when they start feeling slow. I kind of am a little bit like OCD about them, so I check mine, except for the fact that I'm like laying on them right now. I usually like check my edges and stuff. Like if I've been skiing like every couple of days, like make sure I didn't like dent an edge super severely or something like that. And then if my bases like look dry, which if you start like waxing your own skis more frequently, you can tell what a dry base looks like versus a hydrated base. So it's kind of like an inexact science. Usually like if you feel any stickiness or you're like, wow, it's kind of slow, like go ahead and do another wax. Also, like depending on, I'm gonna use an all temp wax today, just because I'm probably not gonna take this very large powder ski out anytime super soon. So I'm just trying to basically hydrate it. But if you wanted to wax for like, as it starts to get a lot colder, use a cold temp wax versus like just a regular all temp, kind of like redo your waxing as the temperatures change. Usually there's cold weather, like all temp. Some brands do like a mid weather kind of temp. And then there's like usually a spring temp wax as well. So when you feel like it is kind of my answer. I usually wax my skis like, I don't even know because I have a couple pairs, but like probably like once a month. But that's because I like enjoy waxing them too. But like it definitely is more like when they're starting to feel slow. It also should be noted that like if you have like brand new skis, I would get a base grind before I wax them, just because. And I just even in that case maybe have the shop wax them too, just because the wax does help the ski glide on the snow better. It basically keeps either too dry or too wet of conditions from creating too much friction with your base. But when you get a base grind, it gives you like that pattern, which also makes your base more hydrophobic, which is going to make it glide faster. So a good base grind combined with a good wax is like the ultimate, like if you want to ski really fast, kind of what you want to go for. If anybody has any questions on that. But otherwise, there's not a lot of rust on here because I, cleaned them before I put them away last year. So I touched that one spot. And then just to like strip your ski of any like old or like dirty wax or burrs, not necessary, but like an extra step I do is I take a brass brush that I store separately from my wax and stuff so it doesn't get stuff in it. And then I just start at the tip and I like do like 6-inch strokes. And you're like, the bases of your skis are kind of like your skin, they're very porous. And that's like when you wax them, you're not trying to leave wax on the surface, you're wanting your actual base to absorb it. And so like the brass brush pulls out like anything that's like old and left over. It's kind of like probably not the best wax anymore, So I usually just give it a couple strokes, clean it off before I clean my base. I also like to make sure my skis are clean before I wax them. So if, like they've been stored in like a dirty garage or something, I'll throw them in the shower. And just like hose them off with my shower head, or I'll take like soapy water and I'll clean the bases as like a pre-step. Just like ways to make your wax go a little further. But yeah, so clean my base, hit it with the copper brush, make sure my edges are good. And then you can go ahead and like actually start the process of putting some wax on your skis. So like I said, we're gonna use this Mountain Flow Eco Wax. The stuff is plant-based and it's super awesome. It's really good wax. We use it on all of our skis. I've used it for a couple seasons now, and so it's a great thing to have in your toolkit. One thing to note, plant-based wax does kind of like shrivel up when it cools. So when you put it on your base, it's gonna crack. Don't stress out about it. Your base is still gonna absorb it. I would maybe just give it a couple more passes or like layer it on a little bit thicker than some other waxes. But otherwise, plant-based, super awesome. Another thing to note is that you can crayon it on your base so that it like stays a little bit better. You want to make sure that your iron is on, unlike me because I turned it on a bit ago. But and then make sure that your iron, struggling, is set to the temp recommended for your wax. So plant-based wax usually is a much lower temp. Like a synthetic wax, you would probably put on your ski at like 140 degrees, whereas this is like set to 113 Celsius, which most irons are also in Celsius, unless you're using like a non-ski specific wax iron, which we've all done before, which just like make sure your roommates know it's the wax iron because I don't want you to be in trouble when they ruin their nice clothes. But otherwise, my thing's heating up right now because I decided to turn off, unfortunately. So we're gonna do that. Does anybody have any questions thus far? No questions.
Is there really any like difference between tuning or waxing a snowboard and waxing skis?
No, not really. When you're like trying to scrape all the wax off, it's like sometimes it's a little bit more of like a wrestling match with a snowboard, in my opinion. Even though I'm a skier, everybody in my house is a snowboarder and I'm the only one that waxes in the house. So I wax plenty of snowboards all the time. And it's just like the smaller the scraper, like the longer it's gonna take you to scrape your board. And when you're trying to like, if you do have like little scratches in your base that you're trying to like fill with wax, you just have to put a little bit more care because like, on a ski, like I'm gonna lay that it's gonna cover edge to edge, even on this like wide powder ski. But if you're trying to fill very specific things with wax on your snowboard, when you're pulling it, you're gonna wanna just make sure that you're not like uneven and like any scratches or bumps that you might be trying to like just fill with wax. If you have like deep gashes in your base, that's when you would probably want to use P-Tex to fill them. Depending on the size, it's something you can definitely do on your own with like a P-Tex candle. I'm not going to do that tonight, but it's something that we talked about maybe sharing how to in the future. If you take it to a shop, they have a really fancy P-Tex gun that they just like hit it and then scrape it off super quickly. So that's kind of cool. But other than that, not really any difference. Also, regular vices, like if you're gonna buy vices and you snowboard, I'd make sure to get one that has like the extenders. That's the only real big bummer about these, is that like the ski will occasionally wobble like this because I don't have the middle one, but on a snowboard, it'll occasionally wobble side to side. For snowboards, I've been known to use like old beer boxes because I like that they're wider instead of using my vices. But there's that. As far as wax goes, like for temperature, a trick that I like to have like kind of in my arsenal is that like as temperature is changing, or if you feel like it's not quite cold enough for a cold wax, but like you're going to be up really early in the morning and it is cold in the morning, but it's going to warm up and you're going to ski all day, you can wax your skis with like a blend of different temperatures. And that'll definitely make them perform better. For cold weather, I'll oftentimes mix it with a regular like all temp wax, just so like when it does heat up, or if there's like one weather day that's kind of off, I'm not like, I have wax that's appropriate or kind of like assimilates to what I need it to do for the varying temperatures of the day without having to strip all the wax and re-wax my skis. So most wax is a little bit more waxy, so when you crayon it on, it'll just stick, but the plant wax itself is like a little bit more firm, so I like rub it on my iron just a little bit to heat it up, and then I like to crayon over my base. This is a personal preference thing, just definitely not like a necessity, but it gives you like a really thin coat coverage so that even after you've dripped down the whole ski, the iron itself is not going to make like super direct contact with your ski base, which is pretty preferred. Sweet. So, got on now. And then I like to go tip to tail. And you basically just want to like pull the wax gently against the iron until you get a little drip going. We're gonna really hope that this fork isn't getting away here. And at first it's gonna drip slow and it'll speed up. Because the plant wax like is a little bit lower of a temperature, and this is like a really fat powder ski, I'm gonna kind of like make little S's across it so that I make sure to get enough wax on there.
And how much are you putting on there? Like glopping it on there, or just kind of like down the middle because you're gonna
You're just gonna drip it. It doesn't need to like be like a crazy amount. I'll hold this up after I finish this little section because it does like distribute quite a bit across.
is it best to kind of like go down the middle almost?
Yeah, you can go down the middle. Like I kind of make little S's. It doesn't look like a little S right now, I can tell you that, because you know it never does when you're trying to do something. But you can see like about the amount of wax that I'm applying to the base. I would want it to drip a little bit faster usually, but I just kind of have it all over. And just like a little bit, because when I go to push it down the rest of the ski, you'll be really surprised by like how much distributes across the ski just out of those little drips. And like synthetic waxes definitely drip a little bit faster because a lot of the times like a synthetic wax will be a little bit softer. Yeah, all over the place. I should have picked shorter skis for this demonstration. These are the longest skis I own and the fattest. The maximum wax possible.
Are any of the mountains that are open in the basin?
What was that?
Are any of the mountains in Tahoe open right now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Epic Mountains, so like the Kirkwood, Heavenly North Star, Mount Rose. I think next week, well, the 25th, Squaw and Alpine open up. I don't know if anything else is.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure who all is open, but yeah, all of those ones. We definitely have mountains that are open. Um, they've been making snow like crazy. So, because we haven't had we had like one snowstorm and that's it. So I'm gonna call this about good for a first pass. Like it could be a little bit light, if anything. And if so, I'm gonna go ahead and just add more wax to it. But I like to start at the top and I kind of do like little circles to make sure like it gets edge to edge. And even though yes.
I got a question. Is it better to put a little bit on and do it a second pass than to like glob it on the first time and try to spread it around?
That really is just dependent on how much wax you want to buy. I'm cheap, and so really making sure that not using a ton of wax the first time is just like me not wanting to over wax.
Yeah.
Another tip that I use a lot of the times is that I'll put painter's tape down the sides of both of my edges. And so like I'll sometimes put enough wax on a base if it's like really dry that it's going to be dripping off my edges and I don't want it all over my bindings just because I'm a little OCD and I don't want to clean that up. And so if you just put like painter's tape down the side, you can just clean that drip off. So if you use a lot of wax, it'll drip everywhere. And it just really depends on how much you want to clean and how much wax you want to waste. I put enough wax on that I'm not going to like have any super bare spots on the base. But maybe like there might be spots that I'll go back and like add a little bit, but not like a whole bunch. The plant wax is definitely just like a little bit different working with it. It's like a little bit more finicky. It doesn't spread the same way that like a super soft synthetic wax does. But like I'm getting like really full coverage from just like those little like the dotting that I did. So it's kind of like up to you guys. Sometimes if I'm feeling like really like wild and I bought like I'll go on like a waxing binge. I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna wax like 10 pairs of skis this week for all of my friends, and I'll buy like 2 pounds of wax, and then I'll be really liberal with my wax distribution because I feel like I'm rich in wax, but really I'm not. So.
Do you know about this process now where they do something to your board and then basically you don't ever have to wax it again?
I don't know about that, but it sounds sketchy. No, I've actually heard about that.
Forget what it's called.
I haven't done it to any of my personal skis, and waxing my skis is kind of fun. So, I mean, I don't know. I can't speak to that because it's not one of my things. But one thing I guess that I didn't mention, these are like my inbound powder skis, so it doesn't really matter. And like I said, we like the plant wax. I think it's awesome. But if you're not using plant wax, which is totally fine, all waxes are cool. If you have a touring setup and you use a wax that has fluoros in it, that will cause a chemical reaction with the skin glue on your skins, and you will have a bad time. Fluoros are usually found in racing waxes, so it's like probably if you have just like your run-of-the-mill all temp, not something you need to look out for. But if like your friend's like, oh, I have this random wax from my racing days in high school in the garage, you can have it. I wouldn't put it on your touring skis or split board.
Good to know.
Yeah, I haven't had the personal experience ever, but my friend was at the top of something and she went to pull her skins off and it was like clumped, like these giant clumps of like the glue, and it was like stuck to the base of the ski, and like she was trying to skin down and it was just like Velcro. And it was a bad day. She didn't have fun because she did all the work, you know, to get to the top and then did not get to enjoy the way down. very much. I think she ended up actually putting her skins back on because her skis were skiing faster with the skins than with the glue.
Oh my God.
So
Oh, that's bad. That's bad.
fair warning, that's something that can happen. But you know, if you try to use the good stuff that's like biodegradable and good for the environment, you know, you don't have to worry about that. I'm not trying to push my personal environmental agenda on anybody, clearly. But. So right now I'm just like trying to make sure that there's wax on like most of the ski, like all of it side to side. That's my goal right here. So it's clearly taking a little time, but and I also, if it's like beginning of the season or to like maintenance on my base, I will wax it like all the way to the very, very tips. Some people don't wax their like real tips because of, you know, they sit off of the snow. But like your bases are kind of like your skin. It's porous and it absorbs things. And the nicer you are to it and the better hydrated it is, the more like elasticity it will retain. And your bases will be nicer for longer. So it's kind of a pain in the butt to scrape, but who cares if it makes your skis have a longer, happier life through their bases. So yeah. It's like, you've got this all on. And you know, some people would be like, oh my gosh, you have to move it in one direction slowly and spread it all evenly. But sometimes the wax just like doesn't let you do that. And that's why waxing is like way simpler than a lot of people try to make it out to be. And you shouldn't let those people tell you how to wax your skis. Sweet. Does anybody have any questions, or am I moving too fast for anybody? Pipe up. I can't see the chat room. So if you chatted in, I can't see. There we go.
I want to know also, like, how do you know when you've taken enough off? Because like the last time, yeah, I didn't take enough off of my board last time and like went flying through the lift. It's like, okay, I did not take enough.
How do you know, not only that, but like, how do you know how much is too much versus not enough?
Yeah.
Here, I mean, it's harder to tell since like wax is clear, but basically like you just want to not see like raw material on your ski when you're waxing it. Like once it's like covered, it doesn't have to look pretty in this state, as long as like all of your base is covered with some type of wax. Like, and if your bases are really dry and you like sit there and let them cool, like you might go back and look at it and have it look dry, and that just means that your base has absorbed a lot of the wax, which is really good. And it means that
People say that like it looks dry. What does that mean? Is it white? Is it
here? So like this is a ski that has never been skied before, so just off the wall. I don't know how well you can see it. But a lot of the times, like you can tell if it's like almost like a whitish look to the base, or like it kind of like looks dry like that. So this one has like, we do wax our skis like in production, and then we scrape them really clean, but this has been sitting on the wall for a few months since it's been made. So it's dried up a little bit. The edges are definitely more dry than like the center, but
it looks sort of like dry skin. So
yeah,
that's how you know.
really, like scaly, like you can definitely tell there's like parts, especially the edges that are thirsty.
Okay.
Yeah.
People say like in the past, like, oh, it's white, like on my other like cross country skis. I'm like, well, I don't know what it looks like. So that's good to know.
It'll feel like dry skin too. Like, so I have a board that has a white base, and so it's really hard to tell. But like if you like run your fingers on the edge of like a just wax board compared to like a board that hasn't been waxed in like 3 months, like it feels like dry skin, dry base.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's kind of hard, if you're not looking for it, if you've never looked for it, you wouldn't know what it is. But next time your bases look really dry after thinking about it, you're gonna be like, oh, I can totally see it now. Like this got like an end of season wax that a lot of the times at the end of the season, I won't scrape them if I'm putting them away for storage. But for some reason I was like in a mood and I scraped them. So it got a little bit drier. This is my other ski I just went and picked up. And basically I do the same exact thing to the other one. And this is why being a snowboarder is occasionally better, because you only have to wax one plank instead of two. But it is wider, you know, we already talked about the scraper thing. This ski definitely has a lot more rust on it, so, than my other one, but lots of good stuff like that. Any
I'd rather
other,
wax two boards than get stuck in the flats on a board.
what was that?
I'd rather wax two boards than get stuck in the flats.
Yeah.
That's why I switched. I'm like,
Here. No, I like to poke casual fun at snowboarders, but I have to admit I like you guys. I think you're kind of fun sometimes. So it is. Well, fun thing though. Coalition definitely obviously doesn't discriminate. We've got our skis, we've got our snowboards. And if you come visit me in the shop, you like my shirt, it says ski like a girl. We don't have this shirt, so like that's disappointing that I'm sharing it with you. But we did just get super cool new sweatshirts in that say ski like a girl, and then we also have ride like a girl. So skiers or snowboarders. We also got some new Sisterhood of Shred sweatshirts. And a bunch of other just really fun stuff. Also just come visit me because I'm sometimes like a fun person, maybe. No?
did we just lose your camera?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hannah, your camera like cut off.
No!
It's just showing Jen's lovely face with her little hat on.
Oh, am I back?
You're back.
Yeah, you're back.
Awesome. But my phone was like sending me a notification because my computer camera was like not up to par for trying to show you guys how to do this today for some reason.
And so right now you're using the brush first. Do you scrape first or do you brush?
I'm using the copper brush just like while the ski's dry. I've cleaned these skis, like I washed them earlier. I let them dry, and then I'm using the copper brush to pull out like, that's why you get the nicer vices that have 3 pieces.
You use the
That's like
copper brush
cheaping out.
after you wax, and after you melt the wax on, you use the copper brush as your kind of first line of
So
defense.
yeah, I'm letting my other ski that I just waxed dry and cool off a little bit. Because if you scrape it while it's still hot, it's gonna, like I said, your skis are like your skin, they have pores. And when you hot scrape or warm scrape, it pulls the wax back out of those pores. So you wanna wait till it's cooled off and then scrape it. The times when it would be appropriate to hot scrape your skis would be like if they were like super dirty and you cleaned them, but then you wanted to just like make sure there's no dirt in the base or anything like that. You can use the hot scrape like a pore strip, basically, for your nose or something.
Oh, gotcha.
To pull out any like gunk, basically. But if like my skis are like fairly clean, so like the copper brush does basically the same thing, but it just like pulls out old wax so that those pores can be filled with new, better wax. Totally not a necessity. You can also just use like a scouring pad that you'd have like in your kitchen. They're not like as intense, but they definitely still like pull stuff out of the base. And I usually keep a couple of those in my kit also. So I'm gonna do the same exact thing. I'm gonna get my wax like a little bit wet or a little bit warm and crayon the base a little bit. When you're crayoning the base, you can like see like a little bit of it going on to the material.
And do you need to like keep almost like heating that up as you're creating the base, like, or is once on the iron enough to do the whole tip to tail?
I just do it once on the iron, and if I'm not using a plant-based wax, like in the past before, like from what I understand, like I only found out about Eco Wax last season. So before that, I was using just regular old run-of-the-mill wax, and it's much softer. That's just a trick that I use for plant-based wax, but you don't really need to if you're not using a plant-based wax. Rub it on the iron at all, and usually just like tapping it once, like gets the end warm enough. So like this is just kind of like a bonus step.
Oh yeah.
And like when you're waxing your skis, if the wax that you're using, you can't find like the recommended temp for what to wax it at, or what you should set your iron to. For general like purposes, you want it to drip at like this speed or a little bit faster and not smoke. If it's smoking at all, turn your iron down. As
What if
just
you have an iron that just has on or off? Like we have a Dakine iron, and it's you plug it in and it's on. You unplug it, it's off.
Oh, that's interesting. I personally have a Dakine iron too, but mine does have settings. In that case, usually the ones that only have an on and off setting, they cycle. So they heat up, and then once they reach their max heat, they turn off until they get too cool, and then they come back on. So you can kind of like play with the cycle. If you feel like it's too hot, you can like leave it for a few minutes, and then it might cool down. It's just something you kind of gotta like figure out as you go.
And this is a dumb question, but like, what if people only have like a regular iron and not like a special ski or snowboard iron? Can you use a regular one?
You can use a regular iron. Like if I was gonna invest in only like a few things to do my own skis though, a ski specific iron or a snowboard specific iron is definitely, I feel like there's even like you can scrape the wax off your skis with a credit card, but like it would be heartbreaking, right, if you like messed up your ski base because you're using like a non-specific iron. It's more like the biggest issues with like not irons that are not made for waxing specifically is that wax gets like built up in all of those holes, so it like wastes a lot of your wax. Their temperature regulation is like obviously not designed for ski wax, it's designed for clothing, so it's like a little bit different. And then like its odd shape kind of makes it hard to evenly distribute wax sometimes, like across the whole base as you're doing it. But I mean, I've definitely done it before in a pinch, and it's definitely something you could do. Like if you do, I would definitely not use your nice iron. I would like go to Goodwill and find one that someone's like pretty much done with, and have like an iron that you're gonna say is just for skis, even if it's not a ski iron. But yeah, like if you're just building like, or like you're just like tuning curious, maybe you're not tuning tonight, or maybe you don't because you don't have the things. If you were gonna get anything, a good scraper, a waxing iron, and then obviously the wax are the things that I would have. Like you can like, the good news is if you have like shoulder length or longer hair, like you can use a hair tie to hold your bindings back, and you can use beer boxes to hold your skis up. Like you don't need expensive things to like, you know, just give like a little bit of life back to your skis. And it doesn't even have to be like, you know, I really love tuning, and I will do like minimal edge work on my own skis, and I tune and wax all my own skis. And I still, like for anything major that I want to get done to them, take them into a shop. Just because like skis are expensive, and waxing is definitely something that is easy to do and you can definitely do on your own. But like there's really like no harm in having a pro do things that should be done professionally, in my opinion. They do a good job at it, and if they mess it up, they'll buy you new skis. So that's like you know, kind of my feelings on it. But
Okay. Yep.
how many people are skiing Tahoe?
I wish. I used to though. I used to live there.
Oh, where are we all at now?
I live in Oregon. I live by Mount Hood.
Oh, nice. I love Oregon. You guys have awesome mountain biking trails.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, but Tahoe's amazing too. So Tahoe's, it's just
True.
on a whole different level, you know.
Like the only trip that I made this year because of the pandemic, which I even felt a little bit guilty about, but I camped. I like didn't go anywhere. I brought all my own things. I went to Bend and my friend told me to ride like the Whoops Trail. And I have to say that's like, of all of our jump trails in Tahoe, Whoops is my favorite jump trail I've ever ridden on my mountain bike.
Nice. Nice. Have you gone to Oak Ridge yet?
I haven't, which I've heard is like kind of a sin in itself. So I'm aware of the error of my ways.
You'll get there. It's pretty, it's sick. It's super sick.
That's what I've heard, you know. I like my like background in outdoor sports is kind of interesting because I'm a total geek about them and I like have really thrown myself into them. But like when I was a little kid, I grew up in Las Vegas and I played soccer. And like, you know, we'd go hiking like twice a year. Like we weren't like outdoorsy folk, particularly. And I moved to Reno when I turned 18 and learned how to rock climb. And then I decided that ice climbing sounded really fun. So I wanted to learn how to ice climb, but a lot of the ice climbing in our region, which there's not a lot of, is like ski tour accessed. So I was like, oh, I guess I should like learn how to ski so I can go ice climbing. And then I learned how to ski, and then I was like, actually, skiing on its own is pretty fun. And I hurt my hip skiing, and I was like, oh, I should buy a mountain bike. And so here we are. But I learned how to do all these things as an adult. So it's like it's taking me a while to get to all the cool places.
Yeah.
And catch up on everything. But so now my other ski, I finished waxing the other one. This one's pretty dry and cool, as long as it like feels like actually cool and not warm. You can go ahead and scrape it. And this is where not investing in a 3-piece vise is the most apparent mistake. I've heard a lot of different theories on how you should scrape your ski, tip to tail. I know some people that swear you should always do tail to tip, which I just don't understand the logic behind that. But I don't think it really matters as long as like you make sure it's really even. So I like hold my, I don't know, scraper. Wow, it's that time of the evening. My brain is not working. I hold it like this, and I like kind of have it angled like this towards me. That's personal preference. Everyone does it differently.
Your camera just went off again.
What was that?
Your camera just went off again for some reason.
Damn it. Sorry.
I've been waiting this whole time just to watch it scrape.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I pull with it like angled towards me, and then I alternate sides with my scraper every few passes. I didn't go awfully heavy on the wax this time, so. And I'm going to show you guys the difference that using a plant-based wax makes, because this looks like not awesome. If you're not used to it, the first time I used plant-based wax, I was like, what is actually going on here? It's like, because it kind of like cracks in the streaks. But so you just want to make sure that you're getting, basically make it look like you didn't put anything on your ski. that's about how much wax I leave. And I do like little passes until I can achieve that. Sometimes it all comes out easily. Sometimes it makes this little sound. And then just like kind of clean your edges off of your scraper every few passes. Another pro tip is that you're gonna have wax all over your floor, and that really sucks. So I have an old shower curtain on the floor here, so that I can just like pick it up and like dump it into the trash can, and I don't have to actually try to vacuum wax up off my floor or the shop's floor for this instance, because I have to clean the shop too since I hang here all the time. Any questions about this? I also have a large piece of cardboard I saved that I fastened to the table with my vices so that I wouldn't have to clean wax off of the table either. Time check. Anybody want to tell me what time it is?
6:21.
Sweet. I'm just big on respecting the time. So, so I want to make sure that I respect all of y'all's times. So I'm just going to keep scraping away on here. And then the last thing I do once I feel like I've gotten all the wax off of there is I actually take like a scouring pad and I like buff it all in, make sure that it's all good and happy. And then it also just like makes your base look nice and even, makes your wax job a little bit more even. But yeah, that's like basically everything. I'll leave the last like 8 minutes that we've had here for questions. So does anybody have any questions about tuning, questions about coalition skis? No, you guys are all silent now.
So did you always ride fat skis?
No. My first pair of skis were a pair of like old K2 Mystic Loves, I think is what they were. And they were like 82 underfoot. And like, they were just the first skis that I could afford off of Craigslist, you know? And so I skied those in powder. I skied those on ice. I skied them in all conditions. And then I like leveled up a little bit and got like what's a more typical all mountain ski that's like was in like the 90s underfoot. And I liked it. And then I started working for Coalition and I decided I loved the SOS. Because I was riding them all the time. And one day I was like really worried that the Abyss skis would just be like way too big for me and that I wouldn't even be able to turn them. And I took them out night skiing. So the conditions were like super firm and it was like not ideal. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I love these super fat skis that are like very, very stiff. Not like not what anybody would recommend for these conditions. Just because they're like super fast because they're so long. These are a 173 and I'm 5'1". So it's like, it's a giant ski. Wow. It's like but that's like a personal preference thing. And I typically like longer skis. But like in an SOS for like around town, I normally ski like a 166 just because our skis do have a lot of rocker in them. They ski short, but like I'd say on average they ski about 6 centimeters short each. So like for inbounds, I would ski like a 166, but I think maybe if I was going to use the SOS as a touring ski, I might ski at something a little bit shorter. And then this is like my big mountain powder ski. So this is what I'm going to take out on like awesome powder days when like I actually get up early enough to maybe get first tracks on like something that's like more like a bowl. Or if I was going to go on like a yurt trip and go cat skiing, these would probably be my ski of choice. Or if I just feel like being really dumb and like sometimes you just want to ride a ski because it's fun and it's dumb. But that's also like, you know, definitely like a privilege thing. Sometimes you can't have like a bunch of skis, but when you start hoarding them and you're poor because all you do is hoard skis, it's I guess one of the benefits of that.
There's a question in the chat. It says, how do you decide if you need to do another pass at it of waxing?
With the iron or with the scraper? Just with wax in general. If my face had dry spots on it after I waxed it, I would wax it again. Right now you can tell that like there's still all this like cracked material on top, which is just like kind of one of the things that you get used to use like plant-based or like even just like other biodegradable waxes are just like a little bit different. But it'll come off. I'm just gonna this takes like a lot more passes than like a regular wax. If you're waxing right now and like it looks like most of the material is off of your base, if you're like scraping and you don't get stuff coming up, then you're probably good. And if you have a scour pad or something that's clean, hit it and buff it a little bit, but otherwise you're good. And then like the best thing you can really do for your skis, which is kind of like my last point, because these are going to take me a little bit longer to finish, is that like storing them strapped together will keep you from having to wax your bases as much. Because when you don't have them strapped together, they just like rattle around a bit and it pulls material off, pulls the wax out. Like not crazy, excuse me. More serious ski racers will always store their skis with 3 straps, one at both ends in the center. I store my skis with 1 strap, but I definitely think that strapping your skis together is super awesome. And like we have these super fun coalition strap-ons now that say strap-on and they're pink, which I'm a big fan of all things pink. So you guys can always go ahead and pick up one of those.
So 2 questions. One is to use the strap-on, do you put it just right in the middle? Is that the best?
Yeah, I usually put it in between my bindings. Like as long as you're not running like a ski with like a demo binding, that flat spot between my toe piece and my heel is usually where I strap them together. Because that usually like you can get a pretty good leverage on them at that point.
Okay. And then the second question, I was actually trying to do the whole emulation of this and I put the wax on. How long do you wait before you drip the wax on before you scrape it off? Like how dry does it need to be?
Until it's cool to touch. So if you touch it and it feels like warm at all, I want it to feel like room temperature. Like I want the base to feel like at the temperature it would be. If it's warm at all, I wouldn't do it. If it's an end of the season wax, don't even scrape it. Just leave it and scrape it at the beginning of next season. But otherwise, I usually wait like 15 minutes. Or like if you're doing your skis, wax the other ski, leave them both for 2 minutes, and they're probably good.
Thank you.
I think that's probably about all the time that we have. But you guys can always send me questions. I'm checking what time it is. Yeah, almost there. Any last questions before like I bid you adieu? No?
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, sorry, I didn't like fully finish everything, but if you have any questions, you can also message me in the clubhouse. And then I think we're gonna maybe do more of these on base repair and things like that. If you have like more serious questions about other things, you can also just send me personally a message anytime. You said I'm Hannah Spenlove and I'm in the clubhouse. Or you can stop in the shop and come say hi. Jen and the rest of the team have put together like some really awesome stuff and it's a really cool space. So definitely come check that out while we're still open and have a great ski season.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. See y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.